یکی هم قوی زنت خاموشش بکنید. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ إلى الله. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا وذليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. One of the ulama, marhum Ayatullah Mujtahidi, he says that there was a Russian Christian who had converted, and he's a Muslim now. Says, I used to see him in the morning. I went to his shop and I said to him, Sabbahkumullah bil khair, yani good morning. He in reply said to me, Massakumullah bil khair, meaning good afternoon or good evening. And he says it's morning by Massakumullah. In reply he says that as long as the Imam hasn't arrived, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam hasn't returned, it is not Sabbahakumullah bil khair. Subh, or that morning or that true day, is the day when the Imam has returned. And he says that I was shocked at the ma'rifat of this person, that how deep he is thinking. And even in Quran we have a similar ayah. It says, Alaysa subhu biqareeb, that is the morning not near. So the true day or the true living, the true life is when Imam alayhi salatu wassalam has arrived. And again there's a Farsi poem. It says that Muntaziram ta ke fasl dey besar ayad bagh shabad sabze wa baghiban dar ayad. Baghiban is Imam Mahdi alayhi salatu wassalam. In reality, the true life is when the Imam has returned. The topic that we have for tonight is going to be a little bit about the azkar, and that is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. One of those ayats that is wajib for us to recite 20 times every day. یکی از آیاتی که باید ما آنها را تلاوت بکنیم بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم هست و 20 مرتبه در روز باید تلاوت بشه. How do you do 20 times? The 5 prayers that are wajib, you have a hamd and then the second surah. Both the surahs, they have to be with the Bismillah. Without Bismillah, the qiraat is incomplete and batil. Now according to the fiqh of the Shias, ولی اونا میگن که بسم الله را هم حذف کردن از قرائت، بسم الله هم نمیخونن توی نماز و بسم الله در نماز خوندنش واجبه، گفتنش. اگه کسی بیاد عمدن بسم الله را حذف کنه، حمدش هم باطله، قرائتش هم دیگه درست نیست. باید بسم الله گفته بشه. و برای بسم الله هم اومدن گفتن که بسم الله را باید بلند گفت، یعنی بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم توی نماز یا حتی موقع غذا خوردن. Even when you are eating, that Bismillah has to be said loud. When you want to enter, میخوای وارد بشید، بگید بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم بلند. خب پس این تعمدی است، تأکیدی است که میبینیم that ائمه اطهار they have emphasized so much that Bismillah has to be loud and clear. Now with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, when you say Bismillah, you oust shaitan by saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You want to wear your clothes, میخوای لباس بپوشید، بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. میخوای لباس در بیارید، removing your clothes، بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. Eating، موقع غذا خوردن، موقع نوشیدن، when you want to drink, that Bismillah has to be said loud and clear. Likewise, when you are performing wuzu or you are performing your ghusl, even then that Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim has to be said. Or when conceiving, or for a good income, that Bismillah is required. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, it is that hairs of Hazrat Fatima salamullahi alayha. Salman is the reporter. Salman says that Rasulullah taught a zikr to Hazrat Fatima salamullahi alayha, which got renowned with this dua Noor, and that is something that was taught to Hazrat Fatima. Salman says that I learnt it from her and I taught it to more than 1,000 people in Mecca and Medina. And then he says that she said, whoever recites it, if someone has temperature, fever, that will be removed by the barakat of this dua. And no one who recited this dua that was taught to him by Hazrat Fatima and to her by Hazrat, the Prophet says he was never afflicted with fever. If he had temperature, that temperature was removed. There are a few copies of this dua Noor here. It's a beautiful dua. Recite it when you want to, especially those of you who have children. Otherwise also it's good, recite it once every day. And she used to recite it once in the morning, once in the evening. And it is a beautiful dua. Bismillah Noor, Bismillah Noor Noor, Bismillah Noorun ala Noor. Bismillah alladhi huwa mudabbirul umur. Bismillah alladhi khalaqa an-noora min an-noor. Alhamdulillah alladhi khalaqa an-noora min an-noor wa anzala an-noora ala at-tur fi kitabin mastur fi riqqin manshur biqadarin maqdur ala nabiyyin mahbur. Alhamdulillah alladhi huwa bil-'azzi mazkur wa bil-fakhri mashhur وعلى السراء والضراء مشكور وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. So it's a beautiful dua. Memorize it, especially children present over here, when they read it a few times. So repeatedly Bismillah has been mentioned here. Then says that if you have a wish, there is a small dua, says that you recite this 19 times. هر حاجتی که داشته باشید 19 مرتبه اینو بخونید که چیه نجاتا منک یا سید الکریم نجنا یا نجنا نجاتا منك يا سيد الكريم نجنا وخلصنا بحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Meaning that I've sought refuge in you, protection from you. از تو من کمک میخواهم، نجاتی که میخوام در این امر از توست. اونم نجاتم بده، خلاصم کن از این مشکل به حق بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم، به برکت همین بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. Prophet Adam, Sulaiman, Ibrahim, when Allah wanted to make them reach at all these high ranks and lofty positions, Allah taught them Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Prophet Noor, he built the ship. Now he says, Allah, I've made this big ship. I've got all the passengers on board. کشتی ساخته شد. همه مسافران توش هستن. اینجا حضرت نوح میفرمایند که الان این کشتی چجوری حرکت میکنه و اگر حرکت کرد how will it stop if it did move. Says Bismillah majreha wa mursaha. Says Bismillah, you will say it will move. Bismillah, you will say it will stop. So Bismillah is like that. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, when he wanted Prophet Sulaiman to get to his rule, Allah blessed him with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So here he says that یک مرتبه که من بسم الله میگویم، حضرت سلیمان میگفت که لذتی که از این بسم الله میبرم یک بار گفتنش بیش از اون هست که این حکومتی که خدای متعال به من داده، از کل این سلطنتی که داده بر جن و بر انس و بر باد و بر زمین، گفت که اینا همش یک طرف، یک مرتبه که من بسم الله میگم یک طرف. so much of an ajr and reward that has, and there is so much of a beauty. Now we don't understand all these things, but that is a reality. That Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bilqis, the queen of Sheba. Now the letter that Prophet Sulaiman writes to her, it's one line. It says, Innahu min Sulaiman, Innahu Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Name ke firistad ishun Hazrat Sulaiman be Bilqis yek satr bud, faqat yek satr. Ke in name as Sulaiman has wa innahu Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Unam did Bismillah تعجب کرد یعنی چی؟ که همین یک بسم الله بود که اون هدهد اومد پیغام رسون به ایشون، بعد هم ایشون هم نوشت و فرستاد که همشون کل اون یمن شد مسلم به خاطر همین بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم مستبصر شدن. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, it has got that benevolent, beautiful effect. One of the Roman emperors, he was suffering with severe headaches. Now all the physicians, they were sought, he got help from every one of them. No one was able to help them. Nothing could be done. Message comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salatu wassalam, says this is what he is suffering from. Imam sends him a cap, ye کلاه فرستاد قلنسوه فرستاد اونجا، بعد گفت اینو بذارید رو سرتون بپوشید خوب میشه. تعجب کرد که all these physicians, they sent all these medicines, nothing could be done. Amir al-Mu'mineen has sent a cap for him. He wore the cap and his headache was removed. He's gone, he's cured now. Then he was a little bit to see what was in this cap. He rips it open, sees that Imam has written Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in the cap. پارش کرد، باز کرد این کلاه، دید که این چی بود که من کلاهی که پوشیدم سردردم برطرف شد. این همه اطبایی که اینجا بودن، هر کسی هر کاری کرد هیچ فایده ای نکرد. بعد باز کرد دید که امام نوشته بودن بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم، به برکت اون شفا پیدا کرد. پس بسم الله it's important that you have to give importance to this Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hadith says كل أمر ذي بال لم يبدأ بسم الله فهو أبتر. Whatever you do, whatever the task is, if you are driving, eating, whatever you are doing, cleaning, washing, cooking, says if you want that to be a complete action, an action that is perfect, it has to be with a Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Otherwise, abtar. Abtar means it's going to be incomplete. So you want that action to be perfect, say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The first ayah that was revealed to Rasulullah says Iqra bismi rabbik. That is, read in the name of your Lord. That is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah is important, that we have to be bonded with Bismillah. Now all these other schools who have removed Bismillah, they have removed everything. Bismillah, it is the name of the merciful God, Rahman and Rahim. So you're starting something in the name of Rahman and Rahim. And now here in namaz, which is such important, and you want to get connected to Allah, the merciful, and you want to get connected without the name of the merciful God. This is what is happening. Says that Bismillah, it is that Ism A'azam of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Hadith from Imam Rida alayhi salam says that Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim aqrabu ila Ismillah al-A'azam min nazir al-Ain ila bayadha. این چشمی که میبینید قسمت سیاهی چشم است و سفید، چقدر نزدیک به همن، سفیدی و سیاهی, the pupil and the white part of the eye. Imam says that Ism A'azam, it's even closer to Bismillah. Bismillah is even closer to Ism A'azam than the white part of the eye to the black part. And Ism A'azam inqad nazdeek hai in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. که همه این چیزایی که تا حالا گفته شد که پیغمبرها با بسم الله بود که همه کاراشون رو انجام میدادن. یا امیرالمؤمنین شفایی که میداد یا کارهایی که ایشون میفرمودن انجام میدادن همش هم به برکت بسم الله بود. The basic assignments that were given to the prophets to teach their people was Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Prophet Sulaiman, he starts his message with Bismillah. Start your journey with Bismillah. Bismillah. Starting everything, when you want to enter the first Bismillah, one teaches his child. وقتی Bismillah به بچه‌هاتون یاد میدید که همون باعث میشه که اون کسی که یاد داده هم وارد بهش بشه و and his ancestors, all of them, they will be forgiven for teaching one Bismillah to a child. That is that important. Now Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. حدثني عن أبيه عن جده عن علي بن أبي طالب أنه قال التقية ديني ودين آبائي في كل شيء إلا في تحريم المسكر وخلع الخفين عند الوضوء والجاهر ببسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Now we have taqiyya in our deen. Says taqiyya you can observe in certain cases. Says but not in Bismillah. Bismillah you have to say it loud. There is no taqiyya in Bismillah. That not reciting Bismillah. So you can say that out loud. Or this hadith which is famous from Imam Askari alayhi salatu wassalam, he says that for the Shias there are 5 qualities that they have. One is the ziyarat of arba'in, takhattum bil yameen, that is wearing a ring in your right hand, and then wal jahir bi bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, saying Bismillah loud. It is one of the signs of the Shias that they have to observe. Once again, in another hadith here from Imam Kazim alayhi salam, he says that dua at the time of iftar is accepted. So whenever you want to be forgiven, say Bismillah ya wasi' al-maghfirah ighfirli. Even when you want to break your fast, say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim and then you break your fast. Ya Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim ya wasi' al-maghfirah ighfirli. This was a little bit about Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and we'll talk on that even tomorrow inshallah. Today it is the day of Shahadat of Imam Sajjad Salamullahi alayhi, our 4th Imam. Mulaqab, and the title given to him is Zainul Abidin, that is the beauty of the worshippers. Sajjad is his name is Ali, and about the 38 years after Rasulullah's demise, he is born, and then Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu wassalam born on the 4th of Sha'ban, and the day of Shahadat also has been mentioned as 12th of Muharram and also 25th of Muharram, where the most recognized is the 25th of Muharram, born in Medina, and also his shahadat is in Medina, poisoned and killed in Medina. All of our Imams, they have been poisoned and killed. And here it was the conspiracies of Hisham bin Abdul Malik, la'natullahi alayh, by whose instructions Imam he is poisoned. Buried in Baqi in Medina by Imam Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam. His mother is Ghazala, or other names that are reported for her is Shahr Banu, Shah Zanan, Shahr Nazar, all these different names that we have for her. 15 children are reported to have been from Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu wassalam. Now the rulers during the time of Imam alayhi salam, the first of them is Yazid bin Muawiyah la'natullahi alayhi. And the time that Imam is living also, it's the most difficult time that all of the A'immah they had seen during their life. Imam Sajjad has the toughest time. Now the reason for that is because Imam Hussein alayhi salam has been killed, and that is, the killer is Yazid, and Yazid is on the throne. And he is, and after him also it's Marwan, and all those rulers have been after him. So it was the toughest of times for all of the Imams alayhimus salam, and not hidden to anyone. The attitude of Yazid, the performance of Yazid, the sins and indecencies that he had, that he used to commit openly. And in these 3 years of the rule of Yazid, the first year he killed Imam Hussein, Karbala. The second year he attacked Medina. That 10,000 and more of the inhabitants of Medina were killed. Thousands of the Hafiz of Quran were killed. And he had given a 3-day open instructions to his soldiers that whatever you want to do in Medina, it's halal and open for you. There for 3 days they looted, they plundered, and they did all those atrocities. And then in those 3 days, all the disrespect that was done to the grave of Rasulullah in the sacred shrine. And also in the 3rd year of the rule of Yazid la'natullah alayhi, he attacked the holy Kaaba. The next ruler that is during the time of Imam is Abdullah bin Zubayr, and he also ruled in Arabia and showed to be pious, very ill-mannered tyrant, and then he also was a very power-hungry person and also had the hate towards the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Then we have Abdul Malik bin Marwan. Abdul Malik bin Marwan yani hukami ke در زمان امام سجاد بودن، یکیش یزید بود، یکی عبدالله بن زبیر بود، یکی هم عبدالملک بن مروان. زمانی هم که امام سجاد بودن دیگه این سخت‌ترین و دشوارترین وقتی بود، زمانی بود برای ائمه اطهار. اینجا چون یزید امام حسین را کشته بود، بعد امام سجاد هم که دیگه فرزندی از ایشون باقی مونده و همه فوکس هم روی امام سجاد بود، هیچ اجازه سخنرانی نداشتیشون، هیچ اجازه اقامه نماز و جماعت و جمعه همش ممنوع بود بر امام. زمانم زمان خیلی سختی بود و تبلیغی که امام میکردن از طریق دعا و تفسیر قرآن و قرآن را ایشون خیلی زیبا و بلند تو خونهشون تلاوت میکردن. مردمی که از تو کوچه میگذشتن دیگه اونجا توقف میکردن، میایستادن، گوش میدادن به قرائت تلاوت امام. یا مثلا تفسیر قرآن را ایشون به اهل بیت، به همین اهل خانهشون تفسیر رو میگفتن، اونم بلند، یعنی برای اونایی که نشسته بودن جلو، ولی هدفشون این بود که اونایی که بیرون ایستادن اونم بشنون، چون ممنوع بود، اجازه نداشتشون هیچ نوع تجمعی داشته باشن. بعد از زمان این یزید و عبدالملک بن مروان زمانی بود که اینا اومدن صلوات را حذف کردن، از صلوات آل محمد را حذف کردن. گفتن که بله پیغمبر خوب بود ولی آلش نه. So they came and they removed the Al Muhammad from these salawat, that Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. If you see all these TV channels today, they also have the same. They say that Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, and they just opt out, or ala sahbihi and titian until all of them. Sometimes they have Ali Muhammad and Ahl Bayt in it, but most of the time they don't have it. This is that same conspiracy and the same policy that was during the time of Yazid and Muawiyah and Marwan, to remove Ali Muhammad from these salawats. The policy that Imam Sajjad had acquired, that is through du'as, he propagates. And then if you see the du'as, for example, the Sahifa Sajjadiyah, which is known as the Zabur Al Muhammad, or the Zabur, the sister of Quran, Sahifa Sajjadiyah, most of the du'as that you have, they, in fact, every dua starts with a Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. That is because they want, that has to be removed. Imam has emphasis to install this salawat in every dua. In some du'as, you have this salawat repeated over and over again. For example, dua Makarimul Akhlaq. In dua Makarimul Akhlaq, so many times starts with a Bismillah. After a few sentences, again there is a salawat. And then throughout this salawat, there is salawat. So that was how Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, he counterfought this policy. Now in this rule of Abdul Malik bin Marwan la'natullahi alayhi, he ruled for 20 years. 120,000 Shias were killed in this rule. 120,000 to Shia ra kusht. Another 120,000 were imprisoned in the worst of conditions. 120,000 Shia digam, zindani budan. And Imam is living in such a difficult time with Abdul Malik bin Marwan being the head. Now this Mal'oon, Abdul Malik bin Marwan, he appoints Hajjaj as his deputy, and Hajjaj also, he has raised the level and rank of Abdul Malik to the rank of the Prophet. That is how they used to deal with one another. Now, before Iraq, he was the ruler of Medina for 2 years, and despite nothing from the Sunnah of Prophet had remained, he insulted the mihrab, the mimbar of the Prophet, and he engraved and he burnt the necks of the Prophet's companions. Among them is Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, Sahil Sa'idi, Anas bin Malik. All of these great companions, they were all killed by this Abdul Malik bin Marwan la'natullahi alayh. And the time also, it's one of those very difficult times. All these teachings of Rasulullah, deen, halal, haram, all that was taught. Now here during this time of Abdul Malik bin Marwan in Medina, you see exactly like what's happening nowadays, that they've come up with a new brand of Islam where everything that was halal, haram until 2 years ago, it's been opened up now. In all these Arab countries, when you see is the Wajis Safido living together, and all that has been made lawful. So initially it wasn't allowed, but now everything is allowed. Now during the time of Abdul Malik bin Marwan also it was similar, that you saw Medina, that all music and dancing and now everything was open, was made open, and it was a very bad time. And here it's the time of Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu wassalam, and he has to deal with these people. Imam Sajjad, he freed as many as 100,000 slaves. Now that is another way how he used to perform his mission, that he used to buy slaves, educate them, teach them these ma'arif and deen and religion, and then free them in the way of Allah. Now every one of these slaves, they become a messenger and an ambassador, and now they become propagators of deen. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, among the sajaya and the qualities that we have, a person, he comes and swears at him a lot. And then everyone was waiting that is Imam going to, how is he going to deal with this person? He swore at the Imam all the bad words, and then he went home. Imam with his companion says that, come on, get ready, let's go and see him. Now they thought that Imam is going to retaliate, and it's going to be a revenge with that person who was bad to the Imam. Now they come, now throughout this journey from this house of the Imam to the destination, to that person's house who was bad to the Imam, Imam was reciting this ayah, وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. كَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ means someone who is angry, he suppresses and controls his anger. Afina an-nas, that's someone who forgives people. And then Wallahu yuhibbul muhsinin, and Allah loves the doers of the good, the muhsinin. So those with the Imam, they understood that the reason why Imam is going to his house, it's not to revenge. Now here he comes, and then Imam recites the same ayah and then says to the person that what you said to me, if it exists in me, then I ask Allah to forgive me. And if it doesn't, then I ask Allah to forgive you for accusing me for all that. When he saw this beautiful akhlaq of the Imam alayhi salam, he comes and kisses between the two eyes of the Imam and says, Allahu ya'lam haythu yaj'al risalatah. Allah knows where to send his message and his message. That is the akhlaq and the seerah, one of the incidents of the akhlaq and the seerah of Imam alayhi salatu wassalam. One of the other beauties that we see, this Abdul Malik bin Marwan la'natullahi alayh. Now he is a ruler drowned in his riches, in his pride, in his negativity. He comes to Mecca to perform a tawaf. Now he sees that no one is opening up the mataf for him to go into the Kaaba and perform his tawaf. Swarms of people are there, but when Imam Sajjad alayhi salam enters Masjidul Haram, everyone opens up and then allows Imam to perform his tawaf and then kiss Hajarul Aswad. He knew who he is. Then Abdul Malik bin Marwan says that who was that who came in and people, they opened up the mataf for him, he performed tawaf and then he comes and kisses the Hajarul Aswad. Farazdaq, the famous poet of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, he was standing besides Abdul Malik bin Marwan. He says, you don't know who he was? Says, no, who was he? Says that هذا الذي تعرف البطحاء وطأته والبيت يعرفه والحل والحرم. Says, you don't know who he was? This Batha means the land of Mecca knows him. Everything that is here knows who he is. This house, this Kaaba knows and recognizes him. وَالْحِلُّ وَالْحَرَمُ. This haram also knows who he is. هَذَا ابْنُ خَيْرِ عِبَادِ اللَّهِ كُلِّهِمُ هَذَا التَّقِيُّ النَّقِيُّ الطَّاهِرُ الْعَلَمُ. Says he is the son of the best of the most God-weary people. Says he is the son of a pure, of a chaste, of a taqi, of a naqi. And if you want to know what his name is, Tahirul Alamu, the pure, it's his name. إذا رأته قريش قال قائلها إلى مكارم هذا ينتهي الكرم. If you see Quraysh and you ask them who he is, they say that the beauty that this person has, all that beauty ends and completes and finishes upon this person. That is that. Says, who is that? Says, that is Imam Sajjad, and you don't know him. Now they knew all of that. That they knew the virtues, they knew the qualities, they knew what greatness they have before the Almighty Allah. But even then, they stood against the A'imma alayhimus salam and against Imam Sajjad alayhis salam. Days are the days of Arba'een of Sayyid al-Shuhada, and there are millions of mu'mineen who are getting in Karbala, getting together in Karbala. And we ask Allah to protect them all, to keep them all safe. And they have all gone for the ziyarat of Sayyid al-Shuhada. And this movement of Arba'een, it is a movement towards the return of the Imam alayhis salam. No doubt in that. It wasn't this Arba'een, it's a miracle. It didn't exist like that. People, they used to perform. And here it's an Arba'een in a very small town, in a country which is devastated. A country among the poorest of the nations. Although it's the richest, but what they have done, it is among those poor nations. But then if you just go on Wikipedia, it says it is the most hospitable nation on the surface of this earth. Despite the poverty, they are the ones who host the best on the surface of this earth. So 16 million people, 20 million people, however many they are, how come they can get together in such a small land? And if you see the geography of Karbala, the inhabitants there, it's less than 500,000. 545,000 people living in Karbala. And then how come 20 million people pour into that little city? درباره زمین کربلا و این همه آدمی که جمع میشن، میلیون ها جمع میشن، این اطلاعاتی که الان روی آنلاین هسته شما میبینید که جمعیت کربلا 545,000 نفره، 1 میلیون هم نیست، نیم میلیون تقریبا. خب این شهری که هست گازکشی نیست، آبش مشکل داره، همه چیزش مشکل داره، برقش مشکل داره، برای همون جمعیت نیم میلیونش هم مشکل داره. ولی چطور میشه که 20 میلیون جمعیت سرازیر میشن اونجا، همشون آبشون بهشون میرسه، همشون غذاشون بهشون میرسه، هیچ کسی نیست که بیاد اونجا گرسنه برگرده. تازه پولی که ما میبریم برای زیارت اربعین میریم اونجا، این پول دست نخورده تو جیبمونه، اصلا کسی پول خرج نمیکنه برای خورد و خوراک در ایام اربعین. این معجزه است. اومدن همین سوال رو از امام صادق پرسیدن که چطور میشه که یه زمینی که انقدر کوچک هست و یه همچی جمعیت بزرگی اونجا سرازیر میشه و هیچ مشکلی اونجا پیدا نمیشه. امام فرمودن که بچه‌ای که در رحم مادر هست، این بچه هرچه بزرگ میشه به حال مادر که فرقی نمیکنه، این مادر است که این بچه را سالم به دنیا میاره، بزرگتران میشه. خب زمین کربلا هم اینطوریست، یعنی همه مردم را در خودش میگیره و همه را هم سالم به مقصدشون هم میرسونه. این برکت سرزمین کربلاست که خداوند متعال این برکت را به اونجا داده و هیچ جای دنیا دیگه اینطوری نیست، فقط و فقط خاصیت کربلاست. When we look into the Masa'ib of Karbala, one of the statements you must have heard says that تركت الخلق طرا في هواك وأيتمت العيال لكي أراك فلو قطعتني في الحب إربا لما مال الفؤاد إلى سواك. Says that I've left behind everything, whatever I had, for the sake of Allah. هر چه داشتم دادم در راه خدا، ترک کردم همه را، هیچی نگذاشتم. یا گاهی وقتی یه ملافه را ور می دارید تکونش میدید که خاکی چیزی روش نشینه، جھٹک دینا. Says, Imam says that تركت الخلق طرا means whatever I had, I gave away for the Almighty Allah. أيتمت العيال لكي أراك. All my family were orphaned. Why? So that I see and meet the Almighty Allah. Now he says, فَلَوْ قَطَعْتَنِي فِي الْحُبِّ إِرْبًا لَمَا مَالَ الْفُؤَادُ إِلَى سِوَاكَ. And if I'm sliced into pieces in this love that I have to Allah, says this heart of mine will not swerve a little bit, will not move a little bit from where it is. That is that mahabbat that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein has towards Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Now here when we look into the wasiyat that Imam has, says فَعَلَى مِثْلِ الْحُسَيْنِ فَلْيَبْكِ الْبَاكُونَ. For Imam Hussein you have to cry. فَإِنَّ الْبُكَاءَ عَلَيْهِ يَحُطُّ الذُّنُوبَ الْعِظَامِ. That when you cry for Imam Hussein, it removes all those major sins that you have done. Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu wassalam, when we look into the seerah of the Imam, he cries for Imam a lot. He is the one who kept this Karbala alive. He lived for about 38 years after Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The duration of his imamat is 38 years. Now all of these years that Imam was alive, he cried. On and off he cries. When water is given to the Imam, he cries. When he's performing his worship, he's crying. And he's fasting during the day, worshipping during the night. And his khadim, when he brings his iftar, Imam looks at that food, he cries. Looks at the water, he cries. When they used to slaughter these animals in the marketplaces, Imam looks at them and cries. Says, my father, he was killed thirsty. Says he used to come and say that give water to this animal before you slaughter it. And then says, my father, he was killed in the open from behind his head, behind his neck. So all these were all these different ways how Imam promoted crying for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Now the khadim, he says that I got the iftar for the Imam. Imam cried so much. And then I said to the Imam, Imam, is it not time that you stop crying? You've been crying for such a long time. In reply, Imam says that, how do I not cry? How do I not cry? Yusuf was one of the sons of Yaqub. 11 sons Allah gave him. From them, one of them went missing. He cried for him so much for 40 years that he lost his eyes. And then that son also was returned to him. Whence before my eyes, before my sight, in less than a day, my entire household perished before my eyes. and you want me not to cry. Now, with reference to the masa'ib that we have for Imam Sajjad alayhi salam and Abu Abdullah Hussein, Imam, when he had fallen and then he sees that Imam is all alone, Imam Sajjad is ill, he runs towards the battlefront towards Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam says to Kulsum, stop him, don't let him come to this battlefront. Imam comes here and says, Sajjad, what were you doing? Says, I want to come and sacrifice myself to save you, Ibn Rasulullah. Imam says, how can you? You are ill, there is no jihad upon you. And then after me, it is you, this Alim Muhammad will continue through. And from, you have to be here. And then now Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says that, Aina Ammi al-Abbas, where is my uncle Abbas? Says, Qad Qutil. Says, Ali Akbar, Qad Qutil. Qasim, Qad Qutil. Names every one of the members of the caravan, says, Qad Qutil, Qad Qutil, Qad Qutil. And then he faints. Now when he gains consciousness, it is the time when he sees that the head of Abu Abdullah Hussein has been raised on that javelin. Now this Imam Mazloom, who saw all these masa'ib in Karbala and was an eyewitness to all of these painstaking masa'ib in Karbala, he also is poisoned and killed by Abdul Malik bin Marwan la'natullahi alayhi, and is laid to rest in Medina. إلهي بحق الزهراء وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها 10 times. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. اللهم أحينا حياة محمد وآل محمد وأمتنا ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم ارزقنا في الدنيا زيارة محمد وآل محمد وفي الآخرة شفاعة محمد وآل محمد. Ilahi, hasten in the return of our Imam, our Master, our Hujjah. Count us all among the best of His servants, those who have requested for du'as. Whatever du'as and hajat you may be having, Allah grant them. Those who have passed away, Allah forgive them, elevate their ranks. Our children to be blessed and be with Iman, with Islam, and among the best of the servants of Imam alayhi salam. Allah hasten in His return as count us all among the best of His servants. Matam Hussein. Sallallahu Muhammad wa alayhi Muhammad. After that.